Hey guys, we're back. Sorry about that last stream. I don't know why my picture wasn't showing, but we're going to start all over again. Sorry I was not live this weekend, guys. I know it was a bit strange, especially for me not being live. If I'm honest with you, I was not feeling great. And it looks like my picture's still not showing on the stream. I don't know. It definitely should be. There's no reason why it wouldn't. Anyway, let's just get into it. If my picture doesn't show, it doesn't show. I'm not feeling great. You're not missing anything. You guys know what I look like. So the first story I want to get into is a story from last week, but it's relevant to the protest going on this week, and that's why, more than anything, it is important. But again, it's driving me nuts that my picture's not showing up on the stream. My stream is not working. Yeah, so it's still not showing, but at least you guys have audio now. All right, well, let's just get into it without the picture. I'm not feeling great. I'm not looking great anyways. So last week, if you guys remember, there was a group kind of eating its own, so to say. They hired, so if you remember, the guy from Athletes Unleashed, Robbie De Niro, he hired a lawyer, Paul Cambria. Paul Cambria advised them not to open, right? So Paul Cambria advised them not to open, and so there's that. And basically what happened was they were angry about Paul Cambria telling Athletes Unleashed not to open. So what happened was that certain people started attacking the lawyer, telling them how the lawyer's against small businesses and how he's just... And it led to a protest this weekend that really kind of got heated. There was a couple of them. We're going to talk about the first protest in Tonawanda first, all right? And it was there was a protest, counter-protest. The Rolling Patriots, I believe the name of the group is, had a protest, and a couple local activists who we've seen a lot at Black Lives Matter rallies and stuff like that showed up to counter-protest them because they were protesting COVID restrictions, and they've been saying all kinds of crazy stuff about people who they disagree with, right? And it is what it is, whatever. That's nothing new. That happens at every end of the political spectrum. But so they showed up. Things got a little heated. There was some yelling. It didn't look like things got physical in any of the videos I watched. Again, I stayed home because I'm not feeling too great, if I'm honest with you guys. I know you guys probably still hear it in my voice. And then before that, there was a rally earlier in the morning, at the Rath building. And it was a bunch of parents who were worried about schools, and they were worried about schools being shut down and all this remote learning and that. And so that was the protest in front of the Rath building last night. Basically, the concern seemed to be, well, if casinos and Walmarts could be open, why are schools being shut down and all this other stuff? I don't think it's an invalid question to ask. I don't like seeing those groups of people, for instance, in the mall and all that, when all this other stuff is closed. That is one of those things that does kind of bother me, if I'm honest with you guys. And this isn't fast news. I know I'm a little more opinionated in this piece. Let's get into this investigative Post article. This is fascinating, though. So right now, the investigative Post did this great article to talk about police spending, okay? It's the city spends 54% more on police than did 15 years ago, all right? And it says other departments spending, let's see, maybe I can pull up this article on my screen for you guys, and you guys have something to look at here, since I am just not showing me. All right, you guys should be able to see that in just one sec here. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that when it comes up, because I pulled up the investigative Post article for you guys. The city spends 54% more on police than it did 15 years ago. Meanwhile, spending across all other city departments increased just 17%, it says. It says, in inflation-adjusted dollars, the city's spending on police has effectively defunded other city services. So, yeah, it's not, again, this is stuff that was being talked about during the summer at the protest. And so it says its budget has grown more than 42% since 2006. Also, due to fringe benefits and overtime, and the rest of the city functions have suffered even more. Subtracting police and fire, the city's budget, everything else has risen just 10%, 1/3 the rate of inflation. So, we seen a lot of this like on the during the protest, right? The police, they have all these toys, they have all this money, and when you look at the list they were given out over the summer of police officers they wanted fired, which was a list of like 16 or 17 out of the 77 total officers in the or 77, 700 some odd total officers in the Buffalo Police Department. And yeah, so again, this article didn't pull up on the screen for you guys, but a big part of this is just how much spending has really risen in the police department. So I know a lot of people are calling to defund the police and that. I don't think it's an invalid argument when you look at how much more Buffalo is spending on the police versus how little it's spending on everything else. So the city's allocations for police rose 50.2 million or 54% since 2006. $50 million since 2006. The cost of the fire department went up 32.6 million. And other services in the city only rose for 24.4 million, the investigative post says. Guys, that is absolute insanity. We definitely need to be funding some of these neighborhood programs a little bit better. I feel like that's a lot of our issue here. All right, now let's get into our last story. The white supremacist strong in Western New York as local Watchmen group starts podcast. Now, this was a headline on the Niagara Reporter on yesterday, and it was quickly removed, but not removed quick enough to get these screenshots of it that people had. And, and really, I think the real thing here isn't like why they published this article. I don't think that's the issue, right? They're talking about the Watchmen's podcast. They describe what the Watchmen are in the article, right? and I would assume there's probably some people that have issues with what was said and everything else. But I think the biggest issue you're going to run into, like with stuff like this, is when it gets yanked down. A lot of times people don't have, the proof that it got yanked down. Well, here we have the proof it got yanked down. We have the articles. The link is on westernnewyorkmedia.net, or if you go on Western New York Media Network's Facebook page, it's all there. The whole link with the article had all the screenshots. I don't want to read it, guys. I try to stay not biased. This gets pretty bad, but a lot of it is relevant. There was, that protest over the weekend, and the Watchmen really, they've kind of escalated situations. They say they're around to kind of protect, but when they show up, and they were protecting a gas station a few weeks ago, we're trying to figure out what they're trying to protect and that. And I haven't listened to their podcast or given them much of the time of day, if I'm honest with you. But I do know that it holds some local people who who I just would never associate myself with, and I'm not going to name any names, but due to their ties to just being friendly with racist or themselves, it's one of those weird things, guys. I have nothing against the group as a whole, but I have something against what some of the stuff they do. But you guys have a great day. I'm not feeling well. Sorry if I rambled a little bit. You guys have a great day. I love all of you. Bye.